How is it going, Bears fans? Welcome back to another episode of Beared Down Uncut, the show where we talk everything Bears every day of the week. The Bears have had joint practices this week with the Miami Dolphins, and Justin Fields has been showing out to basically everyone. He's gotten good comments from Miami Dolphins reporters, Bears reporters, Tua Tagovailoa, and many more. We're going to be discussing his performance at joint practices. Akeem Hicks wants an extension in Chicago. His agent, Drew Rosenhaus, has approached the Bears about keeping Akeem in Chicago past 2021. We're going to be breaking down whether or not that move makes sense for the Bears in episode number 151 of Uncut. Welcome back to the show, guys. Before I introduce myself and my co-host, I would like to say you guys have been killing the support recently. 2,000 views on the videos in the last 72 hours. Took yesterday off. We're going to try and get you guys still the most coverage on the web. I don't know if I can promise each and every day. That's obviously the goal, and we're hardworking people, but we do get busy. But if you want Bears content, basically every day of the week, we're going to be pumping out as much content as we can. So if you're listening on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts right now, do us a favor, follow us, subscribe, drop a like. We appreciate your support. It definitely keeps us going each and every day. I'm your host, Chris Maltby, today to break down some defensive extensions and more Justin Fields content. It just keeps rolling on. I'm joined with both of my co-hosts, Parth and Jaylen McClinton. Day 3 back together this week. Got some Miami Dolphins Bears coverage coming this weekend. We'll probably be at the game. But Parth and Jaylen, what's going on? Parth, you're muted, my friend. You are muted. Now you're not.
I'm so lost. I'm cool, bro. I just got confirmation that, well, if we can get tickets, that we will be at the preseason game on Saturday. So excited for that if we are able to go. Excited to see Justin Fields play with the ones, as Matt Nagy said. I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about that. But, yeah, good moment.
Parth, what's going on? Some technical difficulties? I know you're excited about the Field of Dreams game today?
Yeah, the Field of Dreams game is today. Super excited about that. Yeah, the mic's just disconnecting for some reason, but
you're a little loud if I'm being completely honest still.
I brought it super close to me. But yeah, I'm super pumped for that game today. Couldn't be more excited for that. And super excited for Saturday as Justin Fields will get a lot of time. We'll talk about them, but he's gonna get a lot of playing time, so that's gonna be fun to watch. A lot of good things happening in Chicago sports, so that's something to keep up with.
Yeah, no kidding. The DeMar DeRozan trade officially announced by the Bulls. Blackhawks looking good with Marc-Andre Fleury playing. I mean, obviously the Cubs were forfeited for the Bulls to be good, but that's totally fine because they're two of my teams.
Cubs fans are still.
But yeah, a lot going on. I'll be at the Bears' first preseason game. I'll be at the practice Monday, August 16th with Zach Rimbos. That should be a lot of fun. I might get the second preseason game. I want to go to the second preseason game. I also want to move into college. So I don't know if it's worth staying in Chicago an extra day to go see Mitchell Trubisky's return. Definitely should be interesting, but a lot to look forward to right now in Chicago sports. But let's hop right into this. I mean, we have a lot to talk about. And once again, no better spot to start than Justin Fields. The Bears have had joint practices this week with the Miami Dolphins, and Fields has been absolutely balling out. There have been reports out of Miami Dolphins camp as well as Bears camp that Justin Fields is going to make it big this season and that he is the real deal. So let's jump right into it. Mark Patash tweeted out today, if Justin Fields makes it big this season, we'll look back on today's Thursday red zone drill as the moment it was clear he was destined for greatness. A dominant performance with 6 touchdowns against the Miami Dolphins that displayed every facet of his game, running, passing, rolling out, extending plays. That makes him a lethal weapon. Seems like a lot of people are really impressed with Justin Fields. Adam Hogue also tweeted out, there's no doubt that the best quarterback on either field today through either team was Justin Fields over Andy Dalton and Tua Tagovailoa, who also needs to be mentioned because he's a starting quarterback in this league. And regardless of what you say about him, still going to be starting this year. Fields' only incompletion on the day was a drop by Riley Ridley in the backcourt of the end zone on a very good placed ball. All of Fields' talent was on display today. A lot going on recently with the Miami Dolphins. We had a little bit of a scuffle with Khalil Mack and Adam Shaheen today. I guess we can touch on that a little bit later. I know Parth has some words to get out about that one, but just solely off of this Fields news that keeps coming out of camp. I mean, we keep seeing Justin Fields outplay Andy Dalton. We keep seeing Justin Fields at worst play around a similar level to Andy Dalton. So I feel like the question that's on the screen and has been on the screen for a couple of minutes now has to be asked. I mean, Parth, should the Bears still keep the door open and consider starting Fields in week 1, especially depending on how this preseason goes when he'll get a lot of action?
You have to. I mean, you got to put the best guy out there, the guy who's going to give you the best chance to win football games. And if that's Justin Fields, Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace have to make a decision. And it's going to be a tough one. No one likes putting a rookie quarterback out there week 1, but some guys are made for the moment. And Justin Fields has been someone who's always been made for the moment. He came to Georgia he signed for college, and then he transferred to Ohio State after a year or two. And it's no easy school to play for. In the Big Ten, the best school, the school that has the most expectations, and he won every single game there in the Big Ten, competed in the college football playoff last year, beat Clemson in a big game against number 1 overall pick, Trevor Lawrence. So, I mean, Justin Fields has all the tools to be a starting quarterback in this league, and I think he can do it week 1 as well. I didn't think it'd come down to this. I didn't think he'd be outperforming Andy Dalton in practice by this much, or even Tua. I mean, Tua's a starting quarterback in this league. He played at Alabama last year, and who's also another national champion in college football. So for Justin Fields to be doing this in practice, it's something to keep a note of, and it's something that the Bears front office should keep tabs on. If he keeps playing like this, especially in preseason games, you have to start in week 1, I feel like.
Yeah, and I understand if the Bears promised Andy Dalton that he was going to be the starter. That might have been one of the only reasons why he signed here, and I get if they want to stick to their word, but they should truly keep an open mind in deciding who's going to be the week 1 quarterback. You go with the player who puts you in the best position to win. I'm going to reflect exactly what Parth just said. And, a lot of people online right now are saying don't put him out against the Rams. Look, I got to be completely honest. There's some good spots where it would look nice to put in Justin Fields, preferably week 2. I think week 4 is probably the ideal one because you play Cleveland week 3 in Cleveland. But if I'm being completely honest, it's the National Football League. There's going to be tough defenses riddled amongst every single team's schedule week in and week out. These are professionals that are doing this at the end of the day. Justin Fields is built for the moment. As you said, started 35 games in college, was absolutely a beast at Ohio State, played well on great stages. And I'm not saying the Bears should start him, but what better place to throw him in than week 1? I mean, I know it's Aaron Donald.
Sunday Night Football.
Rams. Sunday Night Football. The brightest light.
He's made for prime time. I don't think people understand this.
Like we're not on Sunday Night Football because of freaking
Andy Dalton.
We're
on there for Justin Fields
because they want to see Justin Fields. We have all our preseason games will be on NFL Network because they want to see Justin Fields, not Andy Dalton. Let's be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Justin Fields is already the face of the Chicago Bears, and it's.
I mean, he was the day that he was drafted.
Exactly.
I'm not trying to get too hyped up about the whole situation in general, but even seeing these Dolphins reporters continuing to gloat about how Fields is playing, it's hard not to get hyped up in this situation. Mm-hmm. It seems like him playing well and possibly even outperforming, if not playing at the exact same level as Dalton in training camp, with a more threatening skill set. He keeps rinsing and repeating and doing the exact same thing. So I'm not going to say the Bears should start Fields week 1, but I see no reason why they shouldn't at least consider doing it and see how he performs in the preseason. That's where it's going to really count. He gets reps against opposing defenses like he has in these joint practices, and he's going to be able to prove himself, hopefully, with some action against the ones. The Bears only playing their starters against the Dolphins for, I believe, 1 or 2 drives. Matt Nagy said 8 to 10 snaps. So we're going to see a ton of Justin Fields. And, I mean, hey, maybe even the preseason games are going to be entertaining when Justin Fields isn't playing because you're either going to be seeing Andy Dalton or Nick Foles, 2 familiar faces in the NFL. So it should be interesting to watch, but I think Fields' progression in these preseason games is going to matter a ton. Jaylen, you think the Bears should consider starting Fields in week 1 after all these reports that he continues to kill it in camp, even from Miami Dolphins beat reporters?
If I was to disagree, I would look not very smart because, like Parth said, a lot of people have been saying this. I mean, if we put the best person in, that's going to help us win. I get this is people say that this is a developmental year. If for 7, 10, 8, 9, they won't be mad, especially if
I've said this all offseason. I'm sorry to interrupt. This is not a training wheel situation like Mitchell Trubisky, and it shouldn't be treated as one. Justin Fields is ready. This is a lot different.
This offense is way different than 2017 than it is with Justin Fields. We were a playoff team the year before we got Justin Fields. We were like 5-11 the year before. No, we were 3-13 the year before. The year before we had Mitchell Trubisky. These are two different situations with two different quarterbacks. So, like you said, this is a whole different situation. I think Justin Fields puts us in the best position to win football games. Andy Dalton is I wouldn't say serviceable, but he's been serviceable for multiple years. In this league, he's been in multiple playoff. He's been on multiple playoff teams. Excuse me, with the Bengals for consecutive years. So I don't think him, being a starting quarterback makes us a terrible team. But I feel like, with Fields, we become a better team with him. Now, like I said, a lot of people saying don't throw him out there with the terrible offensive line that we have now, especially with all the injuries that we're dealing with. It's like every other day we lose an offensive tackle or offensive guard. But and plus we're going up against a very good defense and with Aaron Donald and everybody they have on that defense with the Rams. But like both you guys said, Justin Fields he's built for this moment. He's gonna have rookie woes regardless of who we playing against. We could be playing one of the worst defenses. He's still gonna have mental errors because that's what happens when you're coming from college where you're going up against only a couple guys that's gonna be in the NFL compared to NFL players that's making millions of dollars, to play football. So I say start on week 1. He's been looking like the best quarterback on our team for I want to say the last couple of days now, especially starting Sunday where he had a flawless practice. At the end of practice, obviously in the red zone, he had a very good practice. And Andy Dalton hasn't looked very good, lately. So if I get Matt Nagy has been saying this to everybody that he's been interviewed by, and Andy Dalton is a week 1 starter. But I think you have to consider it at this point. Like obviously, I'm pretty sure all the Bears players or starters at least want Fields to start. Seeing how they talk about him and saying how he's very accurate. How he does this and does that. So I think you should Nagy should at least consider it.
Yeah, and it should be interesting moving forward, especially with how Fields performs in the preseason, because I feel like it's going to be harder and harder not to start him off the bat if he's lights out in the preseason. So it should be interesting to see how he performs this weekend in person as well as against the Bills and in the other game they have in the preseason. I'm not exactly sure they face maybe Denver. I'm not exactly sure, but he'll have his opportunities cut out for him for sure. Let's move on to the defensive side of the ball. Some interesting news this morning from ESPN's Adam Schefter. Drew Rosenhaus, who already attended training camp earlier this summer, he is the agent for Bears Pro Bowl defensive lineman Akeem Hicks. He has approached the team and Ryan Pace regarding an extension for Hicks, who is entering the last year of his contract in Chicago here in 2021. Rosenhaus was spotted in Chicago today at the Bears-Dolphins joint practice, and when asked by reporters, he said Akeem wants to finish his career with the Bears if possible. Now, this is a really interesting discussion. I think I'll kick it off first. I mean, Akeem Hicks is an interesting one because how can you hate the tenacity and the energy that he brings to the Bears defense, much less outside of his playing? He's had a couple great seasons in Chicago last year, 49 tackles, 3.5 sacks. His best season's probably coming his first 3 years in Chicago, where he logged over 54 tackles a season, 7.5 sacks, 2016 through 2018, a down year in 2019. But, when I take a look at it, if I'm looking at this question right here, will he be a Bear past 2021? I really do not think so. I think the Bears do have good fallback options at the nose tackle positions with Eddie Goldman and Bilal Nichols, someone who played last year alongside Hicks because Eddie Goldman took the season off due to COVID. I would love to see Nichols continue to progress and get more opportunities, and I think all of us can agree on that, whether or not Hicks is still in the loop. So I love Hicks to death, especially the energy he brings, as I said earlier. But falling back on Eddie Goldman and Bilal Nichols isn't scathing at all for the Bears in my mind. I think Nichols only continues to improve. We know what Eddie Goldman brings to the field if he returns to his 2019 form before he took the season off. The Bears also have a lot of other players to extend in the next couple of years. They're going to have to shell out next offseason to extend Roquan Smith, David Montgomery in the future. Obviously, the big name, Allen Robinson. Not to mention Eddie Jackson's highest paid safety in the league contract signed, I believe, a season or two ago. is going to kick in 2022. So I'm just not sure if they're going to have the money. I think Hicks could return to Chicago if he's willing to take a hometown discount. But otherwise, I personally see it tough to see him returning to playing in the Navy and Orange. Parth, I want to hear your thoughts on this.
I'm gonna keep it quick, but I agree with you. The Bears have to spend more money on offense. Ryan Pace has been doing that, and it's the trend here in Chicago now. It's a trend in the National Football League. The Bears were a little behind. The Bears were spending a lot more money on defense the past years, but now
I think the only team in the league that spent more than 50% of their entire salary.
Exactly, and we were, I think, 60-something on defense. So now it's time to switch it around. And as much it hurts to lose someone like Akeem Hicks, guys like Bilal Nichols, I think, are ready for the step in the next, I guess.
Yeah, and they've got a lot of players to pay on offense, namely, obviously, Allen Robinson. We've made probably 5 or 6 videos on his saga so far, and there's probably 5 or 6 more coming. But Jaylen, you would assume if the Bears do let Hicks walk, they can also put some more money towards their offensive line, a group that has struggled this offseason so far with injuries, and just throughout the last couple of years in Chicago has really been a rotating cast outside of Cody Whitehair and James Daniels. Not to mention they haven't been the healthiest at times. So what do you think about Akeem Hicks? Is he a Bear past this season?
I want to say yes. I can't imagine a Bears defense or a good Bears team without Akiem Hicks on it. This is his 6th year. When we signed him, I had absolutely no idea who he was, and he turned into be a very good player, a Pro Bowl, All-Pro type player. Now he's one of the best defensive linemen in the league. So it would suck not seeing him on the roster, but I'm not paying him a bunch of money to come back. Now, like he said, he wants to retire a Bear, and I want him to do that. But if he takes only reason I'm bringing Akeem Hicks back is if he takes a discount, if he comes back on a very cheap deal for a 1 to 2 year deal to retire. Because like you said, we have obviously other priorities. Obviously, Allen Robinson, we've been going through this for it's going to be going on 2 seasons. James Daniels' contract is coming up. But like you said, Bilal Nichols, who's turned into a very good player for us after being drafted in the 5th round a couple of years ago, and some more players here and there. So if Akeem takes a discount, I'm very happy with bringing him back. But if he doesn't, then we have to let him walk, and that sucks for me to say.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the NFL is a business and tough decisions have to be made. But I don't see how prioritizing the defense can be the top priority at all anymore. It just simply can't be. It's unfortunate. But I will say before we close this one out, I mean, if anyone is deserving to retire a Bear, it might be the literal Bear.
Yeah,
that's
Akeem Hicks.
The epitome of Akeem Hicks. So it would be tough to see him go, but I would like to think that maybe he'd take a couple $1 million off to try and make something work here on a short-term deal. We see the NFL kind of shifting towards more short-term deals every once in a while nowadays, coming sort of more like the NBA with players bouncing around a little bit more. It seems like could be the future of the NFL. So it should be interesting to see how this Akeem Hicks and Drew Rosenhaus situation plays out. We'll see once again if the Chicago Bears want to pay one of their, quote, guys, because Akeem is definitely one of them. Thank you guys so much for tuning into episode number 151 of Uncut. We're going to keep making videos for you guys each and every day that we can. We're trying to do it every single day of the week. We've got Miami Dolphins, Chicago Bears coverage coming out tomorrow. Pre-game show. We'll go to the game, definitely get some footage, get a post-game show for you guys. So do us a favor. Follow, subscribe, drop a like wherever you are listening. Your guys' support means the world to us. Please keep it up, and we are going to keep the content coming for you all. If you want more content from us, though, head to the link in the top of the description to our website, beareddown.com. We're starting to post articles this weekend, getting you guys ready for the 2021 season. It's been a while since we posted on there, but we are going to get back up and going. We are really looking forward to that. A lot of people working hard behind the scenes, so please be sure to go check out our website for more content from us. If you'd like to enter giveaways that we're doing, we're probably going to be doing some giveaways soon. See some special guests that we plan on having on the show soon, and also interact with us and let us know what you want to see here on the podcast. You can find us on social media, Instagram and Twitter at Beared Down. And finally, you can find the links to all of our social media pages down in the description. Man, I am talking forever. You can find our Instagram and Twitter pages. That's where you can see our thoughts on all things Bears, all things National Football League, and the entirety of Chicago sports. Definitely worth checking out. The links to our social media pages, our usernames are down in the description. Please be sure to go check us out. It's another great way to interact with us. Parth Shaw, Jaylen Clinton, back on the grind. Feels good. Definitely kicking some rust off. A lot of Bears news. We've had a couple of really good podcasts in a row just because things are getting super intriguing now. And now we're about to head into the preseason, go to a game. Should be really interesting. But any last words before we close this one out?
Yeah, no, a lot of news coming out of Hallis Hall now. Things are just starting to kick off. The football season's almost here. We've been saying this. Things are about to get exciting. And, yeah, bear down.
Football is back. Let's
Field
go.
of dreams, baby. Let's go White Sox.
Facts.
Yeah.
I don't think I can watch the game. I have to go to it.
Definitely a lot to look forward to. Not as a Cubs fan in myself, but I said it earlier. I'll take the Bulls in return for the Cubs being bad. It's okay. Yeah, and if you're still listening right now, I will say one thing. I haven't even mentioned it to you guys yet, but one thing I've been thinking of is if I can somehow find the time, which would be tough because of how much time I already put into this stuff. I think a Bulls podcast would be really fun. It's definitely the team I follow most.
For sure.
Outside of the Bears, but should be interesting to see. We've got big plans coming soon. Obviously, with the Bears, a lot going on. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. It's been a pleasure to be your host. Once again, my name is Chris Malpe. And Bears fans, as always, do us a favor. Stay safe and bear down. 2021-2022 season coverage starts tomorrow, coming to you guys officially. I'm looking forward to it. We'll see you guys then.